Imagine stepping into your backyard, and it suddenly feels like Bali after rain. The air hums with green, the stones glisten softly, and even the bottles you once threw away now sparkle like glass waterfalls. Every corner whispers you made this. From trash to treasure, from scraps to sanctuary, this is your small garden turned into paradise. Let's wander through 15 upcycled tropical ideas that feel handmade, heart-made, and truly magical. You're watching Mind Over Decoration, where forgotten things find new life, and small spaces grow wild with imagination. If you love creating beauty from what you already have, make sure to subscribe, because every week, we share a new chapter of ideas like this one. Tell us where you're watching from: Bali, Sydney, California, or somewhere else that loves the sound of wind through leaves. Your garden might be small, but your creativity? Endless. Imagine sunlight filtering through a ceiling made not of glass or steel, but of bottles reborn as leaves. Each curve catches the morning glow, scattering emerald light across your face. Beneath this handmade canopy, the air hums softer, even the breeze seems to move slower. The plastic's faint shimmer feels alive, like rain paused midair, proof that beauty can be made, not bought. Ferns hang gently, their shadows dancing on bamboo poles, as though the garden itself is breathing. Here, you realize how waste finds new rhythm under light. This bottle leaf canopy isn't grand, it's intimate, alive with imperfection, and endlessly generous. When dusk arrives, the fading sun paints the plastic in gold, reminding you that every discarded thing once held the power to shine again. And as you look up, the garden mirrors you, calm, inventive, and quietly radiant. Beyond it, something new waits to unfold, a path lined with glimmering bottles that will soon begin to glow. At twilight, when the garden exhales its final warmth, tiny lights awaken from the earth. Bottles half buried like forgotten memories now glow from within, each one holding a small flame of wonder. They guide your steps not with brightness, but with tenderness, soft amber trails that hum like fireflies waiting for dusk. The edges of the path shimmer, reflections dancing on ferns and gravel. The world feels slower here, measured not by clocks but by heartbeats and flickers of light. You remember the glass once tossed aside, once empty and dull, now guarding the rhythm of your garden's pulse. There's something poetic about these glowing borders, the way they belong to both day and night, to waste and renewal. Children might think fairies live beneath them. Adults will simply smile, not wanting to break the spell. And as your steps follow this illuminated trail, the sound of water begins to whisper ahead, a promise that the next corner hides a secret where bottles give way to ripples and reflection. The softest sound in a garden is water finding its rhythm. A bowl, once forgotten in the kitchen, now holds a gentle stream that speaks like rain remembering its home. Perched on a tower of old wooden crates, it hums in the afternoon air, small yet profound. The USB pump hums quietly, hidden beneath pebbles and reflected sky. Each ripple catches fragments of light from nearby leaves, making the whole corner breathe. Ferns lean closer, their tips moist with gratitude. The sound travels, not loud, but deep, like the garden's own heartbeat. There's an intimacy here, the kind that reminds you how calm doesn't need grandeur. The bowl doesn't demand attention, it simply soothes. And perhaps that's why even the wind pauses to listen. When night comes, a small lantern beside it awakens, and the water glows like melted amber. You realize this little fountain is more than decor, it's the voice of stillness itself, teaching you that serenity can be built from scraps, sustained by patience, and heard even in silence. Follow the sound, and it will lead you to the next wonder, a gate woven from branches, curving like a fairy's invitation. Some corners are meant to feel like beginnings. From salvaged branches and quiet patience, an arch takes shape, bent, imperfect, yet inviting as a memory you can walk through. Each branch still carries the texture of wind and time, the knots and scars that once belonged to a forest dream. Bound together with jute and hope, they form not just a gate, but a threshold. Here, sunlight sifts through jasmine vines, their scent soft as a lullaby. The path beneath feels cooler, framed by ferns and flickering lanterns. Passing under it, you sense a gentle shift, the outside world falls away, and your garden turns inward, breathing deeper. Children might call it a fairy gate. Adults will smile without needing to name it. For in this quiet arc, the ordinary world bends toward wonder. And as you linger beneath its shade, a distant shape catches your eye, round, painted, playful. The next story waits there, a totem made of tires, stacked and smiling beneath the sun. In a forgotten corner, color returns to the world through circles of rubber and green. Tires, once spinning toward nowhere, find stillness stacked in playful columns. Painted soft eucalyptus or sun-washed coral, they rise like gentle guardians of the garden. From their hollows burst ferns, bromeliads, and trailing vines, hair of wild joy swaying with the breeze. Each totem seems alive, smiling through its leaves. Some lean slightly, as if whispering secrets to the flowers nearby. The matte paint catches light like clay, grounding their whimsy in calm elegance. It's a sculpture born of patience and imagination, proof that even the heaviest things can lift a space into laughter. At dusk, shadows climb their curves and the garden glows around them, each tire totem holding the echo of movement long past. They stand as storytellers now, turning what was once road into refuge. And just beyond these playful sentinels, a new layer of life unfolds, green walls made of cans and pallets, where leaves spill downward like waterfalls of reclaimed dreams. Some walls don't need bricks, they need breath. The old pallet, once a frame for cargo, now holds life instead of weight. Each tin can, lined and humble, becomes a cradle for green dreams, philodendrons reaching, ferns whispering, herbs scenting the air with quiet joy. The rough wood keeps its scars, yet somehow they make the leaves seem softer. Morning light spills down the slats, finding droplets that sparkle like slow-moving stars. A recycled bottle above drips water in rhythm, a steady heartbeat for this hanging forest. There's something deeply human in it, how scraps can stack together and become something kind. The wall hums with gratitude, alive but never loud. Even a passerby can feel it, the calm of creation, the simple triumph of reclaiming space for beauty. And as your eyes follow the trail of vines downward, they meet the soft flicker of light, jar lanterns swaying like fireflies, waiting for the night to begin again. When the garden falls silent, the jars begin to speak. They hang gently from bamboo beams, glass once dull now filled with fire borrowed from the sun. As daylight fades, the chandelier blooms, dozens of tiny suns glowing like memory itself. The ropes creak softly, vines sway in rhythm, and the world below is painted in gold and green. This is the kind of light that doesn't demand attention, it listens. It catches on leaves, kisses water bowls, and lingers on the edges of laughter. The air feels warmer here, as if the night agreed to stay kind for a while. Each jar was once meant for storage, now it stores wonder. You watch them and feel the past turning luminous, proof that beauty only needs rediscovery. The glass breathes, the garden glows, and every insect passing by becomes part of the dance. When you sit beneath this soft canopy, time unravels. The light above you flickers like 1,000 quiet thoughts, and every one of them whispers the same secret: you've built magic with your own hands. And as the glow deepens into night, the path ahead glimmers faintly, a spiral of pebbles and stone leading you toward the garden's quiet heart. In the middle of all this green, a quiet spiral draws the eye and slows the breath. Stones once scattered and plain now circle inward like thought itself, white into gray into sand-colored calm. Each pebble rests with purpose, every curve forming a rhythm that your footsteps almost hesitate to disturb. It's not just a patio, it's a compass of patience. The spiral leads you nowhere and everywhere at once, reminding you that beauty is often found in returning to the center. As candles flicker across its surface, tiny lights ripple along the stones, imitating constellations caught on the ground. Around it, ferns soften the edges, and the warm scent of earth rises after dusk. Sitting here, surrounded by the hum of night and the soft glow of jar lanterns above, you feel the quiet geometry of peace. The garden breathes in circles, and so do you. When dawn comes, dew traces the pattern again, renewing what was made by hand and heart. And just beyond the spiral's edge, the air shifts, the whisper of bamboo, the rustle of burlap, hinting at something rising overhead, a micro-pergola that filters light like a gentle dream. Every garden needs a sky of its own. Here, it's woven from bamboo and burlap, simple, breathing, and kind. Sunlight filters through the fabric like liquid gold, shifting softly with the breeze. The shade feels alive, never static. Beneath it, the world slows down. The air cools, the mind follows. This micro-pergola doesn't claim grandeur. It whispers comfort instead. The bamboo poles creak with warmth, vines find their rhythm along the frame, and the faint smell of earth rises each time light moves across the ground. You can sit here for hours and forget the world outside your fence exists. At noon, it's shelter. By evening, it's a frame for sunset. The burlap catches the last amber rays, and for a heartbeat, the whole garden glows as if it remembers summer's first light. It's proof that elegance doesn't have to be expensive, only intentional. And just beyond this shaded calm, light begins to shimmer again, caught not in fabric this time, but in glass, where mirrors and sunlight dance together, widening the garden's heart. There's a certain magic in reflection, the way it doubles beauty without taking more space. A mirror, once dulled by dust and years, now breathes light again. Its frame, chipped and repainted, holds more than a view. It holds the illusion of depth, of openness, of sky. The frosted surface softens what it captures, sunlight bends through it, scattering across the leaves like mist turned to light. In front of it, vines lean closer, curious to meet their own green twin. Ferns shimmer, lanterns flicker twice, and even the smallest petal gains a quiet echo. The garden feels larger, not because it is, but because it's seen twice, with intention. This reclaimed mirror doesn't shout, it whispers glow. It reminds you that clarity isn't about seeing sharply, it's about seeing gently. When you pass by, you catch yourself in fragments, blurred but peaceful, part of the scenery rather than separate from it. And as the day fades, the glass turns golden, mirroring not the sky but the soul of the garden itself. Then, as twilight deepens, the scene softens into rhythm, low wind, moving textures, and the wooden hum of chimes waiting to sing. driftwood carries stories, the hush of waves, the pull of rivers, the patience of years. Placed along the garden's edge, it no longer drifts, it defines. Each curved piece finds its rhythm, flowing like a slow melody that guides the eye and quiets the heart. Moss gathers at its base, ferns lean gently over, and sunlight slides across the grain like a soft caress. The wood's weathered texture speaks of distance, of journeys finished and repurposed. Here, it becomes both boundary and invitation, marking where the wild begins and the walkway ends. It's a gentle reminder that structure can still feel alive. At dusk, tiny lights catch on its curves, making every twist shimmer with warmth. The air smells of rain on bark, a fragrance that feels older than memory. Standing beside it, you realize the garden isn't built in straight lines, it moves like time, curving, breathing, and forgiving. And as you follow the serpentine line toward the next corner, the hum of wind changes tune. Ahead, a low metallic murmur stirs, the sound of wind meeting can, ready to become song. Every garden has a sound. Some whisper through leaves, some murmur through water, and some, like this, sing softly through time. Cans once meant for noise and rush now move in rhythm with the wind, their edges dulled, their surfaces reborn in quiet hues. When the breeze arrives, they hum, not sharp, but low and tender, a sound that feels like memory floating through air. Each chime carries its own note, its own past. Together they form a melody no one composed but everyone can feel. The bamboo beam holds them lightly, and the vines that curl beside them seem to listen. The golden hour wraps them in amber light, they gleam, then fade, then gleam again, as if breathing with the garden itself. You could sit here for minutes, or forever, and never hear the same song twice. That's the beauty of it, imperfection made harmonious, accident made art. When night falls, the cans glow faintly, reflecting lantern light like small moons suspended in thought. Their song turns slower, more deliberate, until even silence begins to sound alive. And just beyond, near the stepping stones and shallow water, another rhythm awaits, the soft trickle of a bottle fountain, where movement and sound finally meet. There's a rhythm only water understands, a language older than words, spoken in ripples and light. Here, in a corner reclaimed from silence, bottles whisper again. Their bodies, once discarded, now channel flow and reflection, turning sunlight into motion and sound. The trickle moves from glass to glass, soft as breathing, clear as thought. The bottles gleam in shades of green and sea glass blue, their curves catching tiny sparks of light. Moss gathers at the base like a quiet audience, while ferns lean closer to feel the cool mist on their leaves. Each drop completes a small circle of renewal, falling into the pebble basin below and rising again, unseen, through the hidden pump, an endless cycle of giving back. This fountain doesn't roar, it murmurs. It calms without effort, and it reminds you that beauty can flow from anything once forgotten. When evening arrives, lanterns shimmer in its rhythm, and the air grows heavier with peace. You might think it's only water, but stay a moment longer, and you'll hear it differently. It's time itself, flowing through what we choose to save. And just past this trickle, where water meets earth, a pathway curves into life, lined by living stones that glow softly beneath your feet. A path is not only for walking, it's for remembering. Each stone here rests like a quiet thought placed upon the earth. The moss between them grows without hurry, softening every edge, weaving patience into geometry. When you step, it yields slightly, breathing back, reminding you that the ground is alive. The stones are imperfect, some worn by rain, others shaped by time, but together they form rhythm. You follow it without thinking, led by the subtle green glow of the ground covers brushing your ankles. Above, leaves filter sunlight in shifting patches, painting the path in moving gold. There's something deeply human in this pattern, progress made gentle, movement turned mindful. You walk slower, and suddenly notice the tiny world beneath, ants crossing, dew glinting, roots curling around stone. At night, the path glimmers softly under low solar lights, guiding the way without glare. The garden doesn't sleep, it whispers. And as you reach the end of the pathway, you hear a soft rustle, branches bending, twigs dancing, a sign that even dry things can sing. Ahead lies the final corner of this tropical dream, a branch archway woven into form, where nature frames the sky like a handmade crown. Every garden needs a moment that feels like a story. Here, it begins with an arch, woven by hand, held by hope. Dry branches, once fallen and forgotten, rise again in gentle union. They bend, not break, as vines thread through their fingers, stitching light and shadow together. Beneath them, stone steps invite a quiet crossing, each one soft with moss, each one humming with memory. The air here feels different. Cooler, slower. When sunlight passes through the archway, it doesn't blaze, it sighs, filtering like honey through leaves. The wooden frame creaks faintly in the wind, alive even in stillness. You walk beneath it, and for a heartbeat, the world changes scale. You're part of the garden now, not just a guest. This archway isn't an ending, it's a threshold. Behind it, the paths you've built, the bottles, stones, and water, glow faintly in remembrance. Ahead, there's more to imagine, always. That's the secret of every handmade space, it's never finished. It grows with you. So let the branches hold the sky a little longer. Let the garden breathe in your footsteps. And as you step through this natural portal, know this. Everything you've created here was never just decoration. It was a conversation with time itself. Maybe your garden isn't big, but beauty never asked for size. Each bottle, each stone, each drop of water you place with love becomes part of a living story. If this video inspired even one new idea in you, leave a comment and tell us which part you'll try first. And remember, every like helps keep these ideas alive and growing. Until next time, breathe deeply, water gently, and let your home feel like sunshine after rain. This is Mind Over Decoration, and the next idea might just be your favorite one yet.